Good morning, students. Now, today it's our third lecture of chapter Force and Pressure. Okay. Now, in this chapter, we will take our another topic, the next topic, and that is our friction. Okay. The next topic is friction. As you already studied about the friction in your previous classes, that what is the definition of friction? Okay, and what do you mean by friction and all? So, what was the friction? Any idea, any guessing is there regarding friction term? Anything? As you have studied about the contact forces, similarly, the first contact force which we have studied in our previous video is a muscular force, and the second one is our friction force. Okay, friction force is one of the type of the contact force only. Okay, now how does friction affect the force? Okay, this is the main thing. How does it affect the force? Always we remember the friction has been developed between the two objects or between two surfaces. Okay, and the direction of the friction force is always be opposite to the motion. Okay, so here's the definition. Friction is a force that opposes motion between any surfaces that are in contact. Okay, means any of the surfaces when they are in a contact, then there will be a force is acting between that, and that force is always be opposes the motion, always be opposing the motion of the object, and that force is your friction force. It always acts on all the moving objects, and its direction is always opposite to the direction of motion. As I have told you, the direction of the friction force is always be opposite to the direction of the motion of the object. Clear? So that's why it opposes, because direction is opposite to each other, that's why it opposes the motion between any surfaces. Okay, and this will happen only when both the surfaces are in contact. That's why it is a type of a contact force. Okay, for better understanding, we will discuss everything regarding the friction through an activity. Okay, so let's start an activity.
How do things move in real life? Say a ball is moving on a flat ground and there's no external force acting on it. Will the ball eventually come to a halt? Yes, it will. Have you ever wondered why? Say you're skating on an ice rink and your friend is skating on the road. Whose movement do you think will be smoother? Definitely yours. When you hold a bottle in your hand, why doesn't it just slip through and fall? Sometimes when you're walking around in a mall, do you remember seeing a caution sign to warn you about the floor being wet? What explains all this? The answer is friction. The reason why the ball eventually comes to a halt is because of the force of friction. The reason why skating on an ice rink is easier because the force of friction is lesser there. The bottle doesn't slip through because the force of friction between your hand and the bottle doesn't allow it to do so. If the floor is wet, the friction offered by it reduces and there are chances that you might slip and fall. So what is this friction we are talking about? It's quite easy to understand its concept. Friction is nothing but a force. It is the force exerted by a surface where an object moves across it. In the first case, when the ball is moving in this direction, the force of friction is acting in the opposite direction. The force of friction offered by the ice rink floor is lesser than the force of friction offered by the road. Hence, skating on the ice rink is easier and seems effortless. The bottle does not slip down because the surface of your hand offers a friction in the upward direction. And in the case of the floor in the mall, the soapy water reduces the friction offered by the floor. In the coming lessons, we'll learn a lot more about friction. We'll see the factors affecting friction. We'll understand if friction helps us in our everyday life or not. and we will also cover the different types of friction. Here's a cube that's placed on the table. We know that if we are pushing the cube in this direction, then the force of friction will act in the opposite direction. If we apply a force along the left, then the force of friction will act towards the right and vice versa. The force of friction will always oppose the applied force. What are the factors that affect the friction? Let me give you 3 situations and then you tell me what it depends on. The first situation is when an object with a smooth surface is moving on a surface which is very smooth. Second, in which the object has a smooth surface and the surface on which it moves is rough. Or the object has a rough surface and the surface on which it moves is smooth. And in the third case, the surface of the object as well as the surface of the table is rough. In which situation do you think will the force of friction be the highest? Intuitively, you will tell me that in the third case, the force of friction will be higher than these 2 cases. And in which situation will the force of friction be the lowest? It'll be the first case as both the surfaces are very smooth. Though there will be friction here, it will be lesser than that in the other 2 cases. If we just look at these 3 situations, we can say that the force of friction increases as we go towards the right. So can you tell me the first factor on which the force of friction depends? Yes, it depends on the nature of the surface on which the object moves and the nature of the surface of the object. Yes, it depends on the smoothness or the roughness of the 2 surfaces which are in contact with each other. If you want to find out if this is true, here's what you can do at home. Create an inclined slope on a table like this and mark a point somewhere on it. Now from this point, let a small cylindrical shaped object move down. You will see that it reaches a particular point and then stops. Next, place sandpaper right under the slope and leave the object from the same point as before. What do you notice? You will see that the distance covered by the object is lesser in the second case. And you probably know why. The surface on which the object rolled was rougher in the second case. And clearly, the force of friction was more. Why is friction caused though? It is caused due to the irregularities on the 2 surfaces in contact. What do I mean by irregularities? Now, even though the table looks smooth, if we zoom into the surface, we will see the surface irregularities. Even the surface of the object has irregularities. Though they are minor, they still exist. Now the irregularities on the surfaces lock into one another. So whenever we have to move an object, we need to overcome the irregularities. But why is the friction higher on rough surfaces? It's because rougher the surfaces, more will be the irregularities. And if the irregularities are more, then more force will be required to overcome them. So the first factor affecting the friction is the nature of surfaces. Is there any other factor you can think of? Let's say there are 2 bricks on a table. One weighs 2 kilograms and the other weighs 5 kilograms. Now I apply equal force on them towards the right. Which brick do you think will go further? Remember that they are both kept on the same surface. And the surfaces of the bricks are also the same. On applying the same amount of force, you will notice that the lighter brick covered more distance than the heavier one. What does this tell us? It tells us that the friction also depends on the force with which the 2 surfaces are pressed together. If the 2 surfaces are pressed harder, the friction will be more. Why is that? Because of the second brick's greater weight, it presses on the table with greater force. Since its surface and the table's surface are pressed together harder, the interlocking between the irregularities is more. And this results in more friction. So mainly, there are 2 things on which the force of friction depends. The nature of both surfaces and the force with which the 2 surfaces are pressed together.
Now, according to the activity, I think you are able to understand what is friction and what are the factors that affecting the friction. Okay, so here we have concluded that there are two factors, mostly there are two factors which affecting the friction. First is nature of the object, okay, or we can say nature of both the surfaces. Either they are smooth or they are rough. Okay, as I will just told you one thing. If any of the surface is smooth, then also there are some irregularities present in the surface. Okay, and any of the smooth surface is moving, then also there are little bit amount of irregularities are present. When both the irregularities are come in contact, they will be locked, and due to this, when they are locked, a friction is present. Okay, and another one is your rough surface. Rough surface contains lots of irregularities. That's why a rough surface create more friction as compared to smooth surface. Okay, it doesn't mean that the smooth surface doesn't create or doesn't have any irregularities. Yes, it also has some little bit irregularities, but in comparison to rough surface, it will be very much less. Okay, that's why a rough surface creates more friction force as compared to smooth surface. Another one is force with which the two surfaces are passed together. It's also be dependent which type of the force acting between the surfaces. Okay, so these are the two factors which affecting the friction. Now there are many type of the friction force, but according to the motion, we have discussed two types of the friction force. One is the rolling friction, another one is the sliding friction. Okay, rolling friction. Rolling friction arises due to roll of an object on the surface. Okay, if any of the object is rolling on the surface, on that time a force which is developed between the surfaces is rolling surface. For example, we can say a car which is moving on the surface, okay, on the ground, that is a ball. Okay, suppose a football which is be playing by players on the ground. So football is also create a rolling friction because football is roll on the ground. Similarly, tires of a car is also be rolling on the ground, so it creates a rolling friction. Okay, second one is your sliding friction. Now what does the sliding friction means? A friction force opposes the relative sliding motion between the two surfaces in contact. Okay, so what was sliding friction? Sliding friction, it means when we are just be slide on any of the surface. Suppose in a slope, I have just be slide one rectangular box. Okay, so that the friction force which is developed on that rectangular box when it was sliding on a slope, that was the sliding friction. And when I have just be passed any of the ball on the slope, then that ball has developed a rolling friction. Okay, for better understanding about the rolling friction and the sliding friction, just look through the understand by the activity.
Let's say you have this cuboid shaped box placed on the table. Try pushing it a little. You will require some force to push it forward. Now place this same box on top of cylindrical shaped pencils and push it. What do you notice? You will notice that the force required by you to push it to the same point as before will be lesser. Why is that? Do the pencils reduce the friction between the box and the table? Absolutely. But it's not about the pencils, it's about the shape of the pencils. They are cylindrical. Assume you are traveling to another city and you are carrying luggage weighing around 25 kilograms. If you're unable to carry the bag, the only option you have is to drag it on the floor. But you will still require a lot of effort to drag your bag. But what if your luggage had wheels under it? Won't it be far easier to carry it around? Yes, it'll be easier. But the question is why? Why is it easier to roll a box over cylindrical pencils relative to pushing it on a flat surface? Why is it easier to carry the bag around when it has rollers under it? Hold on to this thought, I'll come back to it. Before we discuss the above situations, we need to understand what sliding friction is. The concept is simple. It is the frictional force which opposes the relative sliding motion between the two surfaces in contact. What does this mean in simple words? It simply means that if an object is in motion on a surface, the frictional force that is offered by the surface is called the sliding friction. The key words here are sliding motion. The two surfaces have to be in relative motion with each other. In our example, when a box is moving on the table, we say that the box is in relative motion with the table. The resistive force applied by the table when the box is moving is called sliding friction. Remember, the objects have to be in relative motion. Because there's movement involved, this force is also called kinetic friction. Now consider the example of the luggage in which we don't have the wheels under it. When we move the luggage, what will the resistive force applied by the ground be called? Yes, sliding friction. But what happens when we attach circular wheels at the bottom of the luggage? Yes, the friction gets reduced to a great extent. This type of friction which arises when an object is rolled on a surface is called rolling friction. It is a force associated with rotational movement. Now can you tell me by pure intuition about which force will be lesser? Sliding friction or rolling friction? Yes, rolling friction is usually lesser than the one associated with sliding friction. And that's why attaching wheels at the bottom makes it easier to move the object around. And similarly, moving the box on top of the cylindrical pencils is also easier. Can you think of more examples where the concept of rolling friction is used to reduce the friction? Yes, tires of your car. When the car is in motion, the ground applies a force of resistance which is nothing but rolling friction on the tires. Do you remember seeing ball bearings? They are spherical metal balls used in many mechanical structures which have moving parts. They're generally made up of stainless steel, brass or ceramic. They reduce friction to a great extent, which in turn reduces the wear and tear of machine parts. So we got the concept of sliding and rolling friction. There is another interesting type of friction which we need to know about. Will the force of friction come into play only when the two things are in relative motion? Not necessarily. To know which kind of friction I'm talking about, watch our next video.
Now, through this activity, we are able to understand what is our rolling friction and what is the sliding friction. Okay. Now, through this activity, we have concluded that rolling friction is less than the sliding friction, because for develop a friction force, the maximum surface should be contact with the another surface. Then only the friction force develop. Okay, so in sliding friction, maximum number of the surface is in contact with the another surface, and in rolling friction there will be a little bit amount of surface will be in contact with the another surface. So sliding friction is much more than the rolling friction. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand the concept of friction, factors affecting the friction, rolling friction, sliding friction. Now our contact force and types of contact force has been completed. Okay, contact force means any of the object is in contact and develop a force is your contact force, and type is also we have studied. One is your muscular type contact force and another one is the friction contact force. Now, have you ever think about if any of the two objects or surfaces will be not in a contact, then also they are creating a force? Yes, it is there. Okay, that force is known as or is termed as non-contact force. If any of the object will not be in a contact, then also they are creating or develops a force. That is the non-contact force. Giving an example regarding the contact force, it will be more easier. And when we think about a non-contact force, it will be difficult to give an example of non-contact force or to describe a non-contact force. So for that, non-contact force, I think you are able to understand what is non-contact force firstly. Means any of the object applied a force but they are not be in a contact. That is a non-contact force. And it will also be having of three types. First is your magnetic force. Second is your electrostatic force. And third one is your gravitational force. Okay. Three types of the force are be there for the non-contact force. Magnetic force are those force which we are able make in contact through a magnet. You know it very well when we have hold any of the magnet in our hand and just be take a nail, iron nail nearby a magnet. It was not be in a contact, then also it was feel an attraction force and get attracted through a magnet. Okay, so it will be an example of a non-contact force. Clearly, means if we are thinking about gravitational force, then what was that? If we have just be open the tap, then water will always be falling down towards the downward only. It is due to the gravitational force, which is a non-contact force. Okay. So let's study about the non-contact force through an activity. It will be better understanding for you.
Now, we have been studying contact forces. These are the forces in which contact between the objects is necessary for the force to operate between them. Muscular force and force of friction are the examples of contact forces that we have discussed previously. But is contact between the objects always a necessity for the forces to come into play? Let us find that out. Take a bar magnet and place it on the table. What is a bar magnet? Well, we all know what magnets are. Bar magnet is an artificial magnet which has this shape. Place an iron nail on the same table at some distance away from the bar magnet. Now move this bar magnet towards the nail like this. Keep moving the magnet slowly, closer and closer to the nail, but make sure not to touch the nail. What did you notice? When the bar magnet was sufficiently close to the nail takes a leap towards the magnet and sticks to it. What does this tell us? This shows that the magnet attracts the nail and the contact is not necessary for this attraction. The magnet pulled the nail towards it even though it was not in contact with the nail. The force that this magnet exerts on the nail is called magnetic force. So contact is not required for the magnetic forces to come into play. We call this force a non-contact force. Now if you bring this magnet close to your iron cupboard, you will get the same results. As you move this magnet closer and closer to the iron cupboard, the magnet will attract the cupboard towards itself and vice versa. However, in this case, it is the magnet which will shoot out of your hand and stick to the cupboard. Are there any other non-contact forces besides the magnetic force? When you release an object, say a plastic ball, from some height above the ground, it just falls on the ground. Why does it fall towards the ground? This is because of the force that the earth exerts on it in the downward direction. The earth always pulls the objects towards it. This force that the earth exerts on an object is called the gravitational force. This force is attractive in nature. That is, it attracts two objects towards each other. When you open a tap, water begins to flow downwards. This is because of the gravitational pull of the earth on water. Now, I want you to tell me, is gravitational force a non-contact force? Yes, it is. We can clearly see from our examples, the contact is not required between the earth and the other object to attract each other. We say that the gravitational force is a non-contact force. In the next video, we will see one last example of a non-contact force. See you there.
Now I hope you are able to understand about the non-contact force and its type. One more type is remaining, which we have discussed in our next class. Okay, so today we have covered one of the type of the contact force, that is our friction force, factors affecting the friction force, rolling and sliding force. Okay, types of the friction force. And note also I have given that the rolling force is always be less than the sliding force. Okay, then we have discussed about non-contact force, in that magnetic force and gravitational force. Okay, in our next class we have discussed about our third non-contact force. I hope you are able to understand. Now let's discuss about our today's homework. Now let's discuss about our today's homework. Our today's homework is in the form of a paragraph that whatever you have studied till now regarding this chapter, you have to give the answer in the form of filling the blanks after reading the paragraph. And the paragraph is: a archer stretches her bow while taking aim at the target. She then releases the arrow, which begins to move towards the target. Based on this information, fill up the gaps in the following statement using the following terms. And the terms are as follows: muscular, contact, non-contact, gravity, friction, shape, attraction. And the blanks are: first question is, to stretch the bow, the archer applies a force that causes a change in its dash. Second one, the force applied by the archer to stretch the bow is an example of dash force. Third, the type of force responsible for a change in the state of motion of arrow is an example of dash force. And the last but not the least, while the arrow moves towards its target, the forces acting on it are due to dash, and that due to dash of air. So you have to fill all these 4 blanks after studying about the above statement. Okay, so this is your homework, and please students submit your homework on the submission. Okay, that you are not submitting your homework on time. So you all have to submit your homework. The questions which I am giving to you are the back exercise question of your chapter. Okay, so you have to do this in your copy. Okay, and be regular with the study through online classes. Okay students, thank you. That's all for today.